to a new episode of the DadCast. Got a few things to talk about. The new PS4 Pro was officially announced. Dreamcast turns 25. But we're going to start off this DadCast with some sad news. I'm sure most of you all know by now. The incomparable, the wonderful, the magnificent James Earl Jones, unfortunately, has passed away. He's remembered for, obviously, Darth Vader of probably that's the first thing people think of when they think of James Earl Jones. One of my personal favorites, Tulsa Doom from Conan, the Barbarian, Mustafa from The Lion King, and what I have on my TV right now, muted though, I'm going to probably watch it when the podcast is over, Field of Dreams. And he plays the writer, I cannot think of his character's name, unfortunately, but probably my favorite performance by him was in Field of Dreams. I love him so much. Like, he did obviously great job as Vader, Mufasa, Tulsa Doom, Sandlot for a lot of people of my generation who love that movie, and just countless other projects James Earl Jones was in. But he will be missed. I'm hoping, because I know Disney Star Wars did the whole AI voice modulator thing with him to continue to use Vader in future projects. I kind of hope they don't. I don't know, that just feels weird to me. I know it was a contract he signed and everything like that, but I kind of hope they just find a new actor to do the voice of Vader if they need Vader for things. I don't know. That AI thing they did in Rogue One and things like that just felt a bit off, but that's neither here nor there. James Earl Jones, he will be missed. One of my all-time favorite actors, and definitely the voice of like my generation, with again Vader, Tulsa Doom, Field of Dreams, just countless movies in the 80s that came out that he was a part of, and of course, this is CNN. For those of us in the 80s and 90s, he was the introductory voice for CNN. But James Earl Jones, we will miss you, sir. May you find peace in the afterlife. So, moving on from the sad news, let's talk about something cool, something happy. Celebrated it last night on the channel with our review of the Keiko Dreamcast HDMI adapter, and that is the Dreamcast turned 25 on 9/9/24. I was there on 9/9/99, waiting in line at Electronics Boutique to get my Dreamcast on launch day. I believe I got Sonic Adventure, Jet Set Radio, and Marvel vs. Capcom with it on launch. Maybe Tony Hawk Pro Skater. Sorry, 25 years ago, I don't remember exactly what I bought for it. But yeah, it was. I think it was a console ahead of its time, and I think overall wise, better than the PlayStation 2. Just fun factor, games and things like that. But what killed it was it didn't have a DVD player. The PS2 had a DVD player and kicked its butt in sales because of that. What was great about the Dreamcast is it ran off of Sega's latest and greatest arcade board, which a lot of companies like Capcom, which is why these Capcom fighters came first to the Dreamcast, ran off of. So, I mean, graphically you can see it, Crazy Taxi back there, and maybe I'll pop in some HDMI smoothing captures while I'm talking in this video too. But yeah, it looked phenomenal, and I mean, I would have to do a side-by-side comparison of games that are the same game, see what looks better, but I don't know, my memory always thought the Dreamcast looked better than the PS2. And in fact, so many fond memories of the Dreamcast. My worst memory of the Dreamcast though was when I traded it in for a PS2 like a year and a half later, because I wanted a PS2 and a DVD player because that was the latest and greatest, and I was a teenager and I didn't have a lot of money, and like a teenager do, you trade in old systems. Luckily though, I picked one up not too many years later when they were like dirt cheap. I think I bought it off somebody off of like Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace wasn't around then, like Craigslist or something like that. I got a Dreamcast, a couple controllers, a couple VMUs, like 30 games, something like that, for like $45. So in the end I won. I mean, granted, like some expensive classics that I own, like Marvel vs. Capcom 2, were not in that bundle or anything like that. I still don't have a US release copy of that. I've got the Japanese copy, which I found out last night. I gotta figure this out. I gotta go on the web to figure this out. My boot disc for my Dreamcast to play import games, is not VGA compatible. It's only RGB compatible, so I can only play Marvel vs. Capcom on RGB. And so on my HD TV, it looks just hideous. So I got to try to find a boot disc and a CD writer. I don't even have a CD writer in my home anymore, and to burn in order to play that on the Dreamcast in VGA and HDMI form. So that's unfortunate. I can't play any of my import games in true 480p. That's just a darn shame. But yeah, just some of my favorite games. I've already mentioned a couple of them for the Dreamcast: Marvel vs. Capcom 1 and 2, just fantastic. Power Stone 1 and 2. I'm so happy that that's coming in the Fighting Collection next year. Well, excuse me, from Capcom. Because I had on my wish list, well, not a wish list, but favorites on Macari and on eBay, some copies of Power Stone 1 and Power Stone 2 that I think like the cheapest Power Stone was like $60-$70, Power Stone 2 $100. So those are ones like, maybe I'll get one day, maybe. But no, I don't have to. Now I can get it on the Switch, and they're automatically going to be in HD and upgraded and everything like that. So that's super exciting. Actually, this racing series, like, I kind of wish it would get a remaster. But Tokyo Extreme Racing 1 and 2. I had Tokyo Extreme Racing with my original Dreamcast. Did not have 2. I have 2 now. I do not have 1. Ironically, I bought one for like $2 at like Second and Charles when they first opened. And I get it home and I open it up and it's Tokyo Extreme Racing 2. So I've got the case for 1, disc for 2. So I need to find just a case for 2 and then just a loose copy of 1, and I'll have the complete set. But those were always fun racing games. It was like actual street racing where you would just drive around the streets of Tokyo, you'd flash your headlights at another car, and then the race would begin. You'd start chasing them, and then you'd pass them, and you'd race. Tons of fun there. And then, of course, the Tony Hawk Pro Skater games that were out on the Dreamcast, much like everything else on this list so far, 1 and 2, both great games. Seaman, if you remember that, your little fish pet with a man face. Just a great marketing campaign for that, because it kind of like, they did almost a viral marketing thing where it was like, oh, this new discovery in Japan of this half man, half fish kind of thing like that. And it used your internal clock, and you raised him, and he talked to you, and he was a dickhead. That game was a lot of fun. I need to replace the battery in my Dreamcast because I actually want to play that again. And I would love for a remaster of that to come out, because I think all the systems now have some sort of microphone. And in fact, I think the Switch has a built-in microphone. But yeah, that was always a fun game. I need to like replace the battery, and so I can use the Eternal Clock, because I do want to get that game again. I want to play it again because I had so much fun with it. Of course, Shenmue. Then we got the Spider-Man game from Activision. That was so much fun. Probably my favorite Spider-Man game until the PlayStation 4 version came out from Insomniac, which I have that Spider-Man game on my N64. I don't know if I have it for my Dreamcast right now, because like I said, that bundle, 30 some odd games, so it's kind of hard to remember exactly what I have. But I don't think I have Spider-Man for the Dreamcast. I might have to rectify that, because that's the best. I believe that's the best way to play that game. 'Cause I don't think the first Spider-Man came out on the PlayStation 2. I think they just got Spider-Man 2. So excellent game. I need to pick that up on the Dreamcast if I don't have it, especially now that I've got the Keiko HDMI, which check out that video if you haven't. I do a cool review, show some comparisons of screens, so you get a really good idea, because I think that's the best way to decide on these HDMI upgrades, is comparing them RGB versus the digital output. Then of course the NFL and NHL 2K series for the Dreamcast. I think Sega, that's when it was Sega Sports, which I prefer than now that Take-Two owns 2K. But yeah, NFL 2K it's still the best football game series. Like, I'll throw it on my Dreamcast. I'll play that just as much or more than the latest Madden. The NHL 2K series I had a blast with. That was very innovative for how you shot, the power of your shot, wrist shots, things like that. Jet Set Radio, of course, that I do a side-by-side comparison on. Crazy Taxi, which we got going on in the background. Sonic Adventure. And I'm sure I'm missing some. Like, I would, if I went and looked into my collection, like, oh yeah, Mobile Suit Gundam. That game was awesome for the time. I have not played it recently, so it might not be awesome now compared to modern games, but I loved Mobile Suit Gundam. Side Story 001, I think is what the full title was. That game was so much fun. Just because I wanted a Gundam Wing game, but I think the only actual Gundam Wing game that was ever made was the Fighter on the Super Famicom, which I've seen copies of in the US. I don't know if those are just fan translation repros or if it actually came out in the US. I really don't know. But they're significantly cheaper than the Japanese one. But yeah, so that game, Mobile Suit Gundam, was awesome. I'm just trying to look and glance over at my shelf. I can't really read the disc labels. But yeah, just some fun games for the Dreamcast. And like I said, it ran on Sega's arcade board then, so the games looked state of the art. It was fantastic. So yeah, when you're done watching this podcast, or if you want to do it right now, go down in the comments, just list off some of your favorite Dreamcast games. Were you there on $9.99 to pick one up? And this is a fun story. Like nowadays, I generally, not necessarily at launch, but I generally get all the consoles, so I have everything to play. This might be the last generation I do that. I'm definitely getting a Switch 2, or whatever they call it. But with the way Xbox or Microsoft and PlayStation are going, this Xbox Series X, along with this PlayStation 5, might be my last two consoles from those guys. I've been thinking about a gaming PC and a ROG Ally. So I might switch to PC gaming for those high-end games and switch for my Nintendo games. But as I was saying, so fun fact, the Dreamcast was the first Sega system I actually ever owned. I never had a Genesis. I was a Super Nintendo kid. The Saturn came out and I wanted one, but never got one. Kind of glad, looking back, that I didn't bug my parents for one or spend the money on one. Though I do own one now. As you can see, it's right below the Dreamcast. Cool system, but yeah, the way it died a quick death, I'm glad I didn't spend my money on one at the time, especially when it was $3.99. But yeah, the Dreamcast was the first Sega system I owned, and it died, and it killed Sega, unfortunately, which is a shame because, like I said, looking back on the Dreamcast, it was definitely ahead of its time. And I think if they later came out with a DVD one, or if it would have had DVD playback initially, I think it would have fared much better. Because, like I said, just Sega's produced games at the time far better than Sony's games, and if they could have gotten their shit worked out with third-party developers, I think they definitely would have competed with Sony, and they might have won that generation, because the PlayStation 2, which is the greatest selling console of all time as of recording, Nintendo's nipping at their heels. A good chunk of that was sold because of a DVD player, so I think the Saturn being released sooner, had that had a DVD player, would have definitely cut into those DVD-only sales. And, you know, like I said, first party for this generation, Sega's games, I think blew Sony's out of the water. And then they did have third-party support, especially from Capcom, because Capcom was using those Sega arcade boards. So they didn't have EA with Madden, but honestly, I think the Dreamcast, had it been a bigger powerhouse than the PlayStation, or competed more heavily with the Dreamcast, I think the whole NFL sports license thing could have been rewritten, because I think the 2K series could have just kept pace with Madden, and then EA might not have had the money to buy the NFL license, basically, to secure that market. But it's kind of one of those things, like, we'll never know. But I do think with a wow, the game is glitching. That game is glitching so bad, and that is not a burned copy. That is a legitimate copy of Crazy Taxi. It is just driving all out of bounds in the demo, so that's insanity. Sorry, it caught my view. But yeah, I think it could have competed. I think they could have locked in some of those third-party licenses that they, third-party developers that they were missing at the launch of the Dreamcast. But they did have, like, Activision. They had Capcom, which probably at the time, I want to say Capcom was the biggest player in the third-party market. They never really had Squaresoft, but, sorry, drinking iced coffee. But who knows? I mean, if they were selling just as well, they could have possibly locked up Squaresoft to produce for them. So, I mean, you just never know with those things. But yeah, Sega Dreamcast, just an awesome console. Like I said, ahead of its time. I think a lot of people really look back on it with nostalgia and kind of think, like, probably like me, kind of lament selling their Dreamcast. Even though I bought one again, like some of the games I would have kept around are like Power Stone and Marvel vs. Capcom, worth a lot of money today. So, Question is, would I have sold them with the new ones coming out? Maybe, but also having them in my collection since they are prize games. Because one thing for me when it comes to collecting to own expensive games and then maybe flip them or sell them if you get them cheap or they're from your personal collection, kind of thing like that, just to spend more money on the hobby. But generally speaking, if it's a game that I personally love, I like having it in my collection. So probably wouldn't have sold them if I still had them. I probably still have them, even though I'd be playing them on my Switch, maybe my PS5. Maybe I'll get it digital in the PS5 one day or something like that. But yeah, that's one of those things. So I probably wouldn't have sold those. Maybe some other game copies that I wouldn't play as much and wouldn't have been as nostalgic for if I still had for my Dreamcast. Maybe, possibly, but definitely not like Marvel vs. Capcom or Power Stone. If I still had those, those would stay in my collection. But yeah, so let me know some of your favorite Dreamcast games. If you don't currently own one and you had one in the past and you sold it, do you lament that? Do you wish you still had yours to play? But there that is. So now on to kind of the... I gotta move Tulsa. It makes it hard to... we'll still... actually, move the stand. Let me still keep him in frame, but away from the computer so I can still see. But today, 9/10, during Sony's technology preview thing that was like 9 minutes, I actually missed it. But I knew what it was going to be. I wasn't going to... And it was only supposed to be like 10 minutes. I was like, I'm not going to live stream a 10-minute thing. That's just a waste of my time, and no one's going to tune in for a quick 10-minute thing. But yeah, they worst kept secret right now in the console business. The PS5 Pro was announced, and like all estimates, I think we mentioned on the last DadCast, all rumors, $700. And it's discless, so you have to buy a disc drive. So that's a lot of money. And I don't know if it's the same disc drive you can buy currently from Sony for the PS5 Slim, but that's $80 right there. So if you want a disc, and I'm a physical media guy, so I would definitely want that disc. And so that's basically $800 there if you play on disc. In fact, like I have a few digital games on my PlayStation, but pretty much all my games are physical. So I would be SOL. I'd have to also buy a disc drive for it. But CNET got a hands-on with it, and oh yeah, it's also supposed to go on sale this November, so just in time for the holidays. I don't know if anybody's buying a $700 console for somebody for Christmas, though. If you are, can you be my friend? I'll be your friend if you want to buy $700 consoles for people. I don't want that console, but if you're spending $700 on gifts, there's $700 worth of stuff I could find for you to buy me. It has PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution, which will work on PSVR 2 games in the future. So I guess Sony has not given up on their VR. I guess this is going to be a part of it to make it better. They have a planned 40 to 50 games that will have PS5 Pro upgrades at launch, focusing on 4K 60 frames per second upgrades along with graphics boost. I mean, that's cool and all, but if you're like me and you play on your PlayStation 5 and you do performance mode instead of graphics mode, when I switch between the two, it's tough. It's really tough to tell. You got to pause and really be looking at it. But when you're playing at 60 frames per second at 1080p or 2K, whatever the resolution is when you're playing in performance mode, and I think it depends on the game, you're not really noticing that. So again, $700 to play 4K games, play games at 4K at 700 frames per second for just one console, and not a really kick-ass graphics card for your gaming PC. That's a steep that's a steep hill to climb right there. So the PS5 Pro, what CNET reported, could spark a range of extra gaming modes. Currently, there are 3 different PS5 Pro modes on the system. Over 25% of PS5 owners own a 120 frames per second capable TV. So I guess that's one of the modes you could do, probably 1080p at 120 frames per second. And I'd have to check my Bravia. I've got a Bravia. I can't remember if it's like 80 hertz or 120 hertz. I know it's over 60 hertz. So I mean, it could probably do that. But again, man, that's a lot of frames per second, and so you're thinking like only 25% of your customer base. I don't think that full 25% is going to upgrade to a PS5 Pro at $700. And 1 in 10 players have a variable refresh rate TVs. So, and then it also noted that Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, in particular, popped compared to. I like how they put fuzzier graphics, as if we're playing like PS2 and then we're jumping to this PS5 Pro, like, or we're playing the original Final Fantasy VII and playing Rebirth. I play a lot of Final Fantasy VII. I play it on my PS Portable. I play it on my TV. Nothing about that looks fuzzy to me, no matter which mode, graphics mode or performance mode I'm playing in. So, see, I like CNET. I trust CNET for reviews. That's one of the first places I go to when I'm looking up new TVs, a lot of like computers, things like that. CNET reviews are ones that I go to a lot. But man, this sounds like this was kind of bought and paid for. Fuzzier graphics on the existing PS5 version. What are we doing here? Like, what are we talking about here? Fuzzy? There's no fuzzy graphics on that. Like, when you see the clips of the HDMI Dreamcast games that I'm gonna put that I put earlier in this podcast, when you see them, you've already seen them because they're in the Dreamcast version of it. But I'm thinking ahead to the future because they're obviously not there yet because I'm recording this now. But yeah, those don't even look fuzzy, and those are 480p. So it's, oh my gosh, CNET, come on now. You should just let it pop more. You shouldn't have tried to like downplay the graphics because Final Fantasy Rebirth looks fantastic. And I can't. One thing I can't wait, and I know someone's going to do that. Probably Digital Foundry. So I definitely got to put the notifications on for that. When this PS5 Pro comes out, I guarantee they're going to compare. Wait, is Rebirth? I don't think Rebirth is out on PC yet. Shit. But 16 is. Compare 16 to the PS5 Pro and probably one of those super graphics computers they've got over on Digital Foundry. So I can't wait to see that comparison because it's gonna be like I don't know. If you don't have a PlayStation already, maybe spending the extra $200 on a Pro might work. But if you've got a PS5 already and you buy a PS5 Pro, unless you're stupid rich, if you're stupid rich, $700 is nothing. That's fine. But if you're like middle class, like upper middle class or lower, and you go waste $700 on a system you already have for just minor improvements, that's insanity to me. But I'm not judging or anything like that. I don't want to judge anybody about it. It's just like, man, you could get like 10 games for that for your PS5 Pro. So I don't know. I mean, me, if I was even thinking about it, which I'm not, I would definitely put that money towards a gaming PC. That's just me. I mean, that's just me. Everyone, it's your money. Especially if you're an adult watching this, do what you want to do with your own money. But I think that's crazy. Spend $700 on a console. I did note. Let me see if I can find it. It might still be up on my X right here. Let me see. Nope. Man. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Sorry. Not Spawnwave, not Jeff Keighley. Wow, a lot of PS5 stuff on my X right now. Major Nelson. Tom Warren, that's who I was looking for. Okay. He tweeted out the $699 PS5 price. The $699 price tag on the PS5 Pro certainly tests the waters for next-gen console pricing. That's what I'm kind of afraid of. Hold on to your disk drives and wallets because next-gen consoles aren't going to be cheap and will almost certainly come diskless as standard. That's why I said earlier in this podcast that I might not be getting another PlayStation or Xbox after this console generation, because if I'm going to be spending that kind of money, I'm probably just going to upgrade to a gaming PC. I mean, that's just is what it is. And I don't know if it'll probably be up here for streaming, but I know if I get a high-end gaming PC, Sean is going to want to play as well. So it's going to have to be a way so that him and I can share it, because he's got gaming. Does he have a PC or a laptop? I can't remember. I think he's got a laptop. He wants to build a PC, but he's getting a job soon, so he can spend his money on his own. But yeah, just that kind of money for something that's a locked box as opposed to, especially with Microsoft going, not sharing everything. But if you've got a PC and you've got Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, which I'll probably still have if I get a gaming PC, then I mean you get all those Microsoft games. So, and then PlayStation, I guarantee you the next couple of PS5 games sell really well on PC. That year wait is going to get cut shorter, and since I don't buy too many games day one anymore unless it's something I really really want, like Marvel vs. Capcom 2, I can wait that 6 months to a year to play that game and just get it on the PC when it comes there. I mean, there's plenty on my backlog, not just from this generation but past generations with my retro game collection and everything like that. So I can kill that time waiting to play that game. But yeah, that's the big thing that I'm seeing, like, is just people are, even though we all kind of knew what the price was going to be, it's kind of insanity. All right, and Jeff Keighley tweeted out a couple games that will have PS5 Pro enhanced version. That's Alan Wake 2, Assassin's Creed Shadows, Demon Souls, Dragon's Dogma 2, Final Fantasy Rebirth, which we kind of already talked about with the CNET hands-on, Gran Turismo 7, which I think I'm going to talk about in a second because that was also in the CNET tweet, Hogwarts Legacy, Horizon Forbidden West, Marvel Spider-Man 2, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, The Crew Motorfest, The First Descendant. I don't think I'm familiar with that game. I'm sure if I saw... Oh, wait, I know what game that is. Okay. The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered. So those are some of the games, and like I said earlier from the CNET hands-on, it's going to be... they want 50 or so 40 to 50 games at launch. Yeah, Spawnwave Media tweeted out 700, and you would still need the disk drive if you wanted to use physical games. That sure is something. No kidding. Cheap ass gamer. I know this is cheap ass gamer talking, but are you getting a $700 PS5 Pro? And it's no, or I'll find a deal somehow. I'm voting a no because, man, for me to even think about getting another PlayStation 5, it would have to be lower than the $500 I paid for my PlayStation 5, and I know a Pro is not going to be lower, so I'm out. I don't do those. I've only did one. I've only done one mid-gen refresh. Actually, technically, I've done two. They're both Xboxes. The Xbox 360 in my first marriage, the refresh with the black kind of angular console. I picked that up with not Just Dance. One of the dancing games that used Kinects. It wasn't Just Dance. I can't remember what it was called. It was made by Harmonix. I picked that up for my first wife on a Black Friday deal for Christmas one year. That was when that system first came out. I got that for her, and I kept that in the divorce. And I gave my son Sean my launch Xbox 360 that had the red ring of death so many times. But so I did that console refresh, but that wasn't to replace my existing console so much as wanted the Kinect. I knew my then wife, who loved DDR, would like that game, so kind of got that for her as her big Christmas gift. But like I said, I kept that shit in the divorce. I think I sold the dance game because I wasn't using that ever. So I did that console mid refresh, and then with the Xbox One, I ended up getting I did two refreshes. So I had my launch Xbox One, and then I got the Gears of War upgraded one when Gears 4 came out. So I got that, and then I ended up getting the Project Scorpio edition with the 4K gaming and everything like that. So I got a heck of a deal on the Gears one. Oh yeah, I got that because I bought a TV from Best Buy, and I think I got a $500 gift card, or the Xbox was free. I can't remember, some sort of deal. And so I picked up that, and then I gave Sean. He could always play my consoles, mind you, but for him to have them in his room, generally speaking, they were hand-me-downs. So he does have his own Series X that I bought him for Christmas one year. So then I did that refresh. He got the launch Xbox for his room, and then I bought the Project Scorpio when that came out, and Sean then took over the upgraded Gears of War Xbox. So I've only done the mid fresh those couple times. But saying that, like I said, the Kinect Xbox maybe was $200. The Gears of War one I got for free basically, and then the Project Scorpio I want to say was still under $500. So it's kind of one of those things. I really wanted that Scorpio. That's why I did that. And I was single with a lot more disposable income at the time, so it was a little bit easier decision. But even if I was still single with a lot of disposable income, $700 is still a steep price for a PS5 Pro. Definitely don't think I would be in on that bad boy. Let me see if there's any kind of... Oh, also with the conversions from... Because it's 699 British pounds. That's about 930... I think about $900 American. So it's even more expensive in Great Britain, which is ridiculous. So I know I have some viewers in England. Let me know if you're spending the equivalent of $900 US over there. I don't know what the gross income, your average income of a Great British citizen is. So, I mean, given the exchange rate, that could still, given what they make per average versus our per average, that could still work out 700 kind of thing like that. Conversion's fun. Let's see if there's any other cool tweets coming out. I will say the PS5 Pro looks a little nicer than the two other PS5s out there. I like this tweet. I'll have to save the picture. It's a picture of Concord. It says, "It's so over." A line going up to Astrobot. "We're so back." A line going down to PS5. "It's so over." Let me retweet that so I can save that and post that in here when I'm talking about it. Let me see. Any other vertical stands sold separately for the PS5 Pro? So that's probably another $30 you got to spend. So you're looking at, if you want it standing vertically, which mine isn't, because my TV stand doesn't do that, so I wouldn't even care about that. So if you want it standing vertically and a disc drive, that's going to be over $800 for you. More than likely, let's see, disc drive separately for $700. People just complaining. Another "It's so over, we're so back, it's so over" picture. Those are always funny. Pre-orders will start for the PS5 Pro in a couple weeks, September 26th. So if you're looking to get that, there you have it. First game where I saw the PS4 was, yeah, just nothing really new. Going through the Twitterverse on that. Marvel vs. Capcom. I just came across this. GameSpy is giving it a 10 out of 10. Nintendo World Report 9.5 out of 10. Nintendo Life 9 out of 10. Noisy Pixels 9 out of 10. Games Radar 9 out of 10. PSX Brazil 9 out of 10. GC Magazine 9 out of 10. And PlayStation Universe 9 out of 10 for the Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection. So that's some good reviews. I'll have the game comes out Thursday. I'm going to play a lot of it Thursday, do some screen captures, and I will try to have a review out by Friday for everybody. My reviews tend to do well, so I do appreciate the views on the reviews. But yeah, I mean, PS5. Oh, here's a Ratchet and Clank comparison. Let me see. Is it a video or is it just a picture? Wow. Okay, I'm gonna have to save that picture too, because I mean, it looks a little sharper, but that's still a picture. If I'm playing it in motion, I don't think I'm gonna notice the difference. If I can find some video, if there is like a side-by-side video comparison, I'll try to post it either in the in this podcast or at the tail end of it. I'll see, but yeah, it doesn't seem like an extra $700 worth of a purchase if you already have a PS5. That's kind of my thing. But again, to each their own. Spend your own money the way you want to spend it, because I will never, ever, ever judge you for that. But yeah. So let me know what you think of Dreamcast Turn 25. What is your favorite James Earl Jones movie or performance? It doesn't have to be your favorite movie. What was your favorite performance by this great actor? Yeah, some of your favorite Dreamcast games. Were you there at $99.99 for the launch? And also, what do you think of the PS5 Pro? Are you going to Terrence Mann? That was his name in Field of Dreams. Brought it on back. Sorry, it just popped into my head. But yeah. Are you gonna get a PS5 Pro? If not, or are you going to get it on launch? Are you going to wait for maybe a sale price, a price drop, which probably isn't happening considering we never really got a drop in price for the PS5 or the Xbox Series X for that matter. A couple sale prices for like Black Friday last year, but no real price drops, permanent price drops. Just what are your thoughts? Do you really need that minor upgrade, or would you rather spend that money on a gaming PC? Me, gaming PC all the way, but not yet. I'm going to get the Rogue Ally first, do some handheld gaming, because I've got Prime games, and I have all these free games sitting in my GOG collection that I haven't touched because I don't have a gaming PC. I wonder if I could do it for my Mac. I don't know. Maybe some crappier, smaller games, but I don't think I do too many games on this Mac. It's not really set up for that. I use it for editing and fun stuff like that. But yeah, tell me what you think about all three topics we covered today. And yeah, just as always, man, like and subscribe if you like. You don't have to though. I'm not big on this. Again, hobby, not my full-time job, thankfully, because I'd be very poor if that were the case. But we're almost to 100 subscribers, so you 95, I thank you. If anybody subscribes during this podcast, I thank you as well. We're on the road to 500, so we've become monetized, and then. And every cent, every dollar I make from this channel is just going to get reinvested in this channel, either for unboxings, cool stuff that the collection, better cameras, better software, things like that. So, yeah. But, yeah, like, subscribe if you want, share with a friend if you want, and always have a great rest of your day. Take care now. Bye.